I still feel everything. Rage, fear, stress, the surge when a boundary is crossed. What's changed is that they don't leak the same way anymore. And I've noticed something pretty unexpected ever since that stopped happening. Reality has started responding to me very differently, without me really doing anything. Like, I don't think I'm that much calmer. I am definitely not nicer. And I'm not interested in whether I'm more evolved. I'm just pointing out that there's no more discharge. So in this video, we are going to talk about what actually happens when emotion is contained instead of directly acted out, why not reacting becomes a felt boundary, how situations de-escalate without confrontation, and why this phase feels quiet but incredibly consequential. Take this as my field report from inside the shift. Emotion, for me, and I think for most people, used to move outward, meaning it would arise and then become action. It shaped my reactions, it drove my explanations, and what's shifted now is not that I'm suppressing the emotions or becoming more detached emotionally, but that my emotions are now completing themselves within. So the feelings are still very much arising in the same way that they did, sometimes fast and sometimes very intensely, but it doesn't immediately get handed into a behavior. It just stays there with me. So the sequence has changed. Before, an emotion would rise, that would then create an urge, which would trigger an action, which ultimately led to fallout and consequence. But now what's happening is an emotion rises, it is felt fully, and it is contained. Another way to say it is that the energy that's moving, aka the emotion, stays inside my system long enough to actually organize. I think there is so much collective and cultural shame and misrepresentation of emotion. We don't even realize how much power there is in actually harnessing, feeling, naming, and harnessing what comes through. And that is actually where our power is. Because when emotion is contained in this way, boundaries are felt far more intensely than if we explicitly state them. And situations de-escalate without the need for discussion. People often back off without confrontation, and dynamics literally lose traction all on their own. And it's not because you're enforcing anything, it's not because you're manipulating anything, it's not because you're suppressing anything, it's not because you're explaining anything. When your emotion is contained, you are holding your power. And when you hold your power, not only are other people going to take you more seriously, but you're also not leaking anything out sideways for other people to hook into. You're giving nothing to manipulate, nothing to deflect onto. There's no easy way for others to avoid or deny what your clarity and your truth or your boundary exposes. There's no emotional invitation, no open loop. It's actually really fascinating to me just how much things de-escalate from this way of being. No matter what the emotion is, I could feel complete and utter rage fill my body, and believe me, I do. And when it comes through, it's loud and I'm scared. Like, fear rushes through and I'm like, oh shit, I'm losing control. And I say a sentence, a boundary, something comes through, like even a simple question. I think that the feeling of containment sometimes amplifies the feeling inside because you're holding it. But I always expect people to respond defensively or for it to cause an escalation. And it's not doing that. It's literally doing the exact opposite. People feel more at stake because it actually creates exposure for them. They may try emotional hooks, but if you respond with that containment, with every single response, their defenses or their hooks or manipulations or deflections or whatever are going to collapse under their own weight. Conversations simply just shorten because there's nothing to argue. It's powerful in its subtlety. It's honestly very anticlimactic, almost boring, but it's consistent and it's reliable, and this is how you actually start shifting things. Let's put this into context. So discharge or leakage emotionally creates chaos, volatility, projection, feedback, intensity, a sense of release. Containment really kind of does the opposite. It creates delay, often silence, neutrality, non-events. And it can definitely feel a bit strange if expression used to feel like relief. It can also feel a bit strange because, like me, you may still predict more volatile outcomes because you're feeling your emotions, not realizing that how it's translating into behavior is entirely different. Nothing dramatic confirms this phase. I think it's actually the nothingness that confirms this phase. Another way to look at it is that you no longer feel the need to have your power witnessed. You feel it inside, you know it. You do not need anyone else to validate that. And if you ask me, that is the most honest definition of the word. I think that there are also people who can act similarly in behavior because of detachment or suppression or emotional shutdown or withdrawal. Again, that's not at all what this is. Sometimes I actually think my emotions are even more felt now because I'm actually present through them and not collapsing into shame when they arise within me. What's shifted is the urge to seek relief and the capacity to sit with the discomfort. Internally, here's what's going on. The emotion is felt and resolves relatively cleanly inside, and there are much less internal negotiations such as, am I overthinking this? Should I say something? Should I do something? Less self-questioning and self-doubt. More just, I feel this way. That is my truth. I am not going to say anything. And so there's no actual buildup of action. You just process the emotion, and eventually that urge to act literally disappears. And you find yourself in neutrality very quickly after that intensity. So it's basically the feeling completes its entire arc without becoming instruction. And emotion becomes information, not command. I don't know that I can tell you how to get to this place because this is just a point in the spiral of regulation and ego dissolution. But just know that nothing needs to be forced back online. You don't need to recreate discharge to prove that you are alive. You just need to let the wave rise and fall and finish. And when you do that, you actually let reality respond. When emotion is fully felt but not discharged, it does not disappear. It organizes reality instead of disturbing it. That's not control. That's coherence. What changes when you let emotion complete itself without turning it into action, explanation, or reaction? Let me know in the comments below. I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.